Trying to like pull some colors to do what I have in mind with this. I get really serious about the colors. Oh yeah, this one is bloody gorgeous. Look at that color. That's crazy. My name is Kirsten Kurtz, and I'm the manager of the Cornell Soil Health Lab. I'm also a graduate student in the Department of Natural Resources at Cornell, and I am an artist who specializes in painting with soil. I actually didn't tell anyone I was an artist for my first 3 years working at Cornell because and this wasn't true, but I was worried that people would not take me seriously as a scientist or think that I didn't have the right type of mind, that analytical mind, to be a good scientist. I actually think that art and science are very similar in a lot of ways. One thing is patience, attention to detail, but also I found that using this soil painting as a medium for communication has been really successful. I've been able to use it now as a way to get people to think about soil as a natural resource that deserves to be protected and cherished. It belongs to us all, just like clean water and clean air. I don't want to be like scare people and tell them that, and I'm going to tell you right now, soil is a resource that we're losing. And it's a really sad thing, but I prefer to focus on the options for management and for improving that soil. We do know how to manage for soil health. So it's very simple. It's reducing tillage, it's incorporating cover crops, these very simple things that you can do to maintain or even improve your soil health over time. I did do one painting of this kind of deer skull in the desert, and I was just imagining like after the fertility was gone. And that one I was trying to scare people just a little. I was doing soil texture analysis on these soils from the south, and they're really red with the iron oxides. And I got really fascinated with the different colors and how beautiful they were. So I started pulling them and saving them, and I didn't really know what I'd be able to do with them. And then I was taking a painting class with this woman named Kim Schrag, and I was painting with acrylic, and I actually really don't like the color of acrylic paint, that plastic. I find it really garish. So I wasn't feeling satisfied with the work I was doing, so I asked her if it would be okay if I tried to paint with soil. Gesso is typically used by artists to prime canvases, and that worked except for that gesso is typically white or black. I was using white gesso, and it was really washing out the colors. And then I found out that they make clear gesso. I mixed that with soil and water, and that's how I discovered the technique that I use. So I paint with pure clay. One of my favorites is this French clay that is the only soil I actually buy, and it's very expensive, and it's for like face masks, you know what I mean? But it's this lovely green color. That's what I used for the grass and the Three Sisters. And then it does this really cool cracking thing. So these days I work with that, and I'll put like a kind of light brown behind it, and then I build up the green on top, so then it kind of cracks and you can see that brown underneath. Any one of my paintings typically has 5 layers of soil. So each layer I have to let dry completely, and then I'm able to build up the next layer. It's always really frustrating for the first 2 or 3 layers because it looks terrible. I mean, I don't know how else to put it, until you actually start to finally get that depth. So it does build up. They're a bit 3D, which is cool. I've become like much more sensitive to colors and what those colors mean. A lot of pigments that are used even to this day are toxic, and soil, for the most part isn't, right? So it's like a lot of the paints that even conventional artists used are earth-based, and I respond to those colors. It reminds me of being outside, digging in my garden, it's a beautiful thing. The first paintings that I did, I call my family portrait series. I'm the oldest of 5, and I did a portrait of my parents and each of my siblings and myself. The first one was a self-portrait. I grew up on a 200-acre organic farm in Western New York. We were like always reading the Rodale Guide to Organic Gardening. Like my mother's super progressive, so it made sense for me to paint my family like coming out of the soil. Plus, you know, when you learn about soil and you learn about human bodies, and I know much more about soil than human bodies, you realize that we're made up of a lot of the same things. And I find that really fascinating. So yeah, that was my first step. For the first World Soil Day, we did a bunch of kind of typical soil demos. So what I did is I designed 2 canvases. One was a little bit more detail-oriented, and the other one was just like free-for-all. That ended up getting the attention of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, and they were interested in new ways to communicate the importance of soil. So then they started an international soil painting contest, which we entered in and won for the university division, where we painted the 3 sisters in soil. That painting's about corn, beans, and squash. Native American cultures would plant them together quite famously because the beans fix the nitrogen in the soil, the squash creates a cover to protect the surface of the soil, all feeding the corn also. So you're getting these 3 crops together, and it's really very progressive. It's the stuff that we're studying and working on now, sustainability, right? And I think it's important to highlight the options we have. There's a lot of potential in permaculture, technology also with like digital ag where we're at. We can really be a lot more careful to add just as much nitrogen as we need. We're in a really cutting edge time with soil science. And I think that we're going to be able to like discover ways to maintain the sustainability and the resilience of soils within our country and the world, hopefully. One that I did recently I call Resilience, and it's just this like muscle, right? And it's this woman and she's looking, and I really love it because I'm thinking about resilience as a woman, right? And resilience as a person, resilience in soil. It's a really big word in soil, you know? When I'm doing any kind of art, when I'm drawing, when I'm painting, I get 100% absorbed in it, and I'll sit there for hours without moving, like not even to get a drink of water, like etc. Something about it, it completely absorbs me. And I don't meditate. I think I should meditate, and be aware, though that kind of self-awareness, everyone says that's really healthy for you, but I'm a very high energy person, so that doesn't really work for me. So when I'm painting, it's the only time I stop. It's the only time that I just like don't move and I get completely absorbed into it. So it's incredibly important to me as a way to relax. And I manage a really serious lab. We're the leading soil health lab in the world. And that can be, it's very intense. It's amazing, I love it, but it's intense. I run all day long. So to have this thing that just makes me stop and takes all of my focus, it makes me incredibly happy.